something, this is something I always pay attention to. And I know when people say something that should throw you off or say something just to say something, just to say it. But he was right. He wanted to say why he didn't look his best that night. Maybe that's true. But one thing about great champions, amongst fighters, or amongst just having a championship belt, that's one thing to have a belt. There's so many out there. Y'all know it's 5 belts in each division, maybe 6, right, Doug? Okay. So be champion is okay, but you don't raise your eyebrows up too much, because you got to do above and beyond that now. But he mentioned that the reason, sort of, or he hinted around that the reason that he looked bad that night because he had a lot of problems. You know how many times I fought with problems? I used good and bad to realize that the fight can be still won, even though it might be personal, even though it might be you got a flat tire, your dog ran off the lawn and got hit. At the end of the day, that's what separates certain mentalities and certain great athletes. From the Michael Jordans, from this guy, from Bernard Hopkins, from this era, from Ray Robinson from that era, Hagler from that era, Ali from his era, 60s. Because to me, I'm not going to say real fighters because he is a real fighter. But that's the separation between his mentality and my mentality. I don't care where I go through. It could be a storm. I'm going to transform that into energy to take care of my business that night. Even personal, non-personal, I don't care what it is. It doesn't affect what I have to do. Now, as far as chumps or champs, Gary Shaw tried to correct you and said there's no chumps as long as they step in the ring and fight. There is a correction with that. There are chumps. But I believe that anybody that's signed to go in there to fight, start off as a champion as far as having a heart to do it. That's a different type of champion. But you become a chump when you don't do what you say. You become a chump when you go in there and you get hit and don't get up knowing that you can. See, you go in there, you get a pass. It's called points. You start off with points because you had enough courage to get in the ring, but it takes a lot to go through adversity and don't become a chump. So I wanted to not bail you out, but I wanted to give Gary my definition that chump do exist in boxing, even though you're a fighter. You just don't get a pass and get the green light because you just happen to get your license and say you got a couple of fights. There's going to be times in a fight where you're going to have to separate yourself, whether you're a champion, a fighter, or a chump. And lately in boxing, not mentioning names, we've seen a lot of chumps. Y'all watch like I watch. I ain't throwing nobody in the bus. But one thing about this sport, they do separate the chumps from the champ. So you were correct. Now I gave you some in case you challenge again with that. So thanks for standing in the sun to witness again. If it's not Chad Dawson who has to prove that he belongs here, and I'm have to prove that I'm special over and over again, and I don't mind that, then October 15th, I won't disappoint you. I won't disappoint you. And I just don't want this man to disappoint you either. Why? Because I can be a great dancer. But if my partner ain't dancing with me, y'all, I'm going to step on his feet or he's going to step on mine. So to make a good fight, because I don't want to look like a bully. I don't want no one out there saying, oh, you know, Bernard was in the penitentiary, he's beating the guy, he's scaring the guy, he's getting in the guy's head. If somebody get in your head, because now that's an excuse for some people to say that I've accomplished things that I accomplished because Bernard got in a fighter's head, and that's how he won the fight. Well, if somebody can get in your head, then you're not a real fighter. If a fighter can get in your head and win and dictate the fight without throwing a punch, then how can you call yourself a fighter? How can you call yourself anything if somebody can beat you out of a championship without touching you? So don't go for that crap that because I'm who I am or I got past this hurdle or that hurdle because Bernard intimidated a guy. At the end of the day, Chad Dawson had to prove that chasing me, as he say, ducking him, as he says, he get a chance to now prove that. And if he comes with his A game, I'm going to come with my A game. I'm telling you right now, the outcome is the outcome. I know how I feel. He says how he feel. Fine. But I'm not backing up, and he's going to have to fight, and he never seen anything like this before.